We've got a major pattern flip underway right now. We're seeing the storm threat going down, but I'm telling you what, the weather is going to turn much colder across the Great Lakes, also into the Northeast, and it may stay that way for some time. And some of this is pushing pretty far to the south. That's going to do two things. Of course, it's going to be cold for the Memorial Day weekend, but looking long range, this may stick around. This is an interesting look here on the upper levels. I'm going to start here today. We'll look a little bit long range, and then we'll dive into what's going on today heading into the next couple of days. But this upper low is going to continue to plague the weather. I want to say plague because we're talking about temperatures 20, in some cases 35 degrees below normal. We could be setting record low high temperatures. In other words, these may be low high minimums that, again, will be pretty chilly. With clouds and showery conditions too, we're also going to see some lake-enhanced rain showers. Just pretty chilly. Across the west, though, things changing here, we're going to start to heat up. Now, it's going to take a little while. We're going to get this shot of cool air that's going to move into California heading into now Saturday and Sunday. The Memorial Day weekend from the Northeast into the Mid-Atlantic is looking cool. And we may get a bit of a break from the temperatures being so chilly heading into maybe Saturday and Sunday for some areas, especially from the Ohio Valley into the upper Midwest. In fact, temperatures here from the central U.S. will be relatively warm, and I just want to tell you, across the south, it's going to stay hot over the next couple of days. The front and the colder temperatures not really dropping this far south. Across the west, one heck of a ridge building. Now, I think you've got to watch this upper low that's potentially moving into the west coast, but ahead of this, we've got this big ridge that's really positively tilted here up across Canada. Underneath this is the pattern flip that I'm talking about. First, I guess the silver lining is severe weather for a lot of the central United States is going to be somewhat muted with this type of setup. But I think there's something interesting happening here, maybe Monday into Tuesday, as this upper low deepens around the Great Lakes. And it looks like we almost have the same type of setup again, with cold air across the east, pretty warm across the west. Now, if this doesn't get in the way, I don't know how impactful this upper low will be, but we could see temperatures soaring into the 90s as far north as Washington and Oregon, especially in the lower elevations. And on the flip side of that, way below average, all the way into the southeast, possibly heading into next week. So we're looking 1 week out here, looking pretty long range. And if you take this out even further, this is the operational GFS. So you can take it with a grain of salt and throw it out the window. The idea is for this chilly pattern to persist, possibly into the first little bit of June here. And then we start to change up a little bit, I think, at this point, as we start to see more troughiness in the west, at least here across the Pacific Northwest. And then one has to wonder, do we end up with more severe weather? June is notorious for strong thunderstorms, severe weather events, so I think we may just be getting started. Although we do get a bit of a break maybe for now, and a bit of a break compared to yesterday's severe weather. Although today there could be some really strong storms, including Pittsburgh, up to Cleveland, down into parts of northern and central West Virginia, and then here into eastern North Carolina, especially along the coastal plain out to the Outer Banks here. And then watch out here into parts of Arkansas and Missouri. We could have a few strong storms into this region too, heading into the afternoon and evening. The tornado risk not as high there, but you've got to watch some of these storms that are moving through eastern North Carolina, also parts of really here into eastern Ohio, parts of West Virginia, and Ohio, Pennsylvania, that could pulse up. Your day 2 severe outlook across the southern plains, across the east at this point, pretty much everything gone, except maybe some storms down into Florida along the east coast, and then heading into now Friday, storms possible across the plains. Certainly nothing like what we've seen lately, but these could pulse up and be a little strong. Let's take it day by day over the next couple of days. We've got this upper low pinwheeling also at the surface. Low pressure now moving, expected to move very close to Detroit. On the east side of this, we're going to have a lot of I got meteorology. I about went a little bit too meteorologist on you. Positive vorticity advection moving in. All right. So in other words, a lot of lift, large scale ascent here. That's a rising motion. And with this, we're going to see a lot of wind shear, change of wind direction with height. So that's why your tornado risk is there. It's not a zero threat, but certainly possible here into eastern Ohio, northern West Virginia, and then I'd say western Pennsylvania. As we head into the overnight, that threat shifts away, and now we're dealing with cold, showery conditions. Cold for May standards, by the way. Cold enough that into higher elevations of the Northeast, there could be some snow mixing in the Adirondacks, the Green and White Mountains. Now, as we head into Thursday, here's where your showers will be. From the northern mountains of West Virginia all the way up into Ohio. lake effect rain showers. They could be enhanced here off of Lake Erie, possibly even maybe Ontario as the low moves by. And then it just stays showery over the next couple of days here. Cloudy to damp. If we can break out of the clouds, the further west you go, your temperatures will go up. And take a look at your temperatures, by the way. These are highs this afternoon, baking along the coastal plain of North and South Carolina in the low to mid-90s in some areas. Also Florida into the mid-90s. Summer is almost on here. It feels hot, and it's going to be hot across the deep, deep south too. Now, once you get up into northern Mississippi where the front moved through into Tennessee, temperatures in the 60s and 70s, 40s for highs, I think from Michigan back into Wisconsin, also into the Northeast, and then heading into tomorrow, a little bit warmer maybe for Kentucky, into Virginia, West Virginia, back up into the 60s, also back into Indiana and Illinois, but where the clouds persist, we stay cool. Highs will likely only be in the 40s, and around this low, we're going to continue to pinwheel some of this cool air south, and this next push looks like it's going to come pretty far south heading into Friday morning. So I do want to tamper this forecast heading into the weekend and kind of get your expectations in line. A lot of swimming pools are opening this weekend. I always think about this. I mean, I was a pool kid growing up. How about this? If you're in central Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, temperatures in the upper 30s and low 40s on Friday morning. The pools are probably getting filled up for the weekend. Heading into summer, I don't know. They may be delaying this because of this. So, yeah, I got to imagine the waters are going to be cold. The lakes are going to be chilly, too, if you're going to be out on the lakes this weekend. Temperatures in the 30s, maybe even into the 20s, into some of the mountains here into West Virginia, also in parts of the Northeast. Highs rebounding back up into the 60s across the Ohio Valley. 50s, we may get to 50 across a good chunk of Michigan into parts of Pennsylvania, into the mountains. We'll be stuck in the 40s here. And then this cool trend continues. I want to push this out further in time. Look how hot, though, it gets on this into the south. So a real big dividing line here. We're in the 80s and 90s versus 40s and 50s. So a huge contrast in temperatures. And you may be wondering, when is all this going to go away? There comes that secondary pinwheeling cold pool of air next week, keeping temperatures in the 40s and 50s. But look, where you can get the sun, you'll break up into the 70s at least. We'll finally get rid of that, I think, maybe by late next week. These upper lows are tricky. Maybe we get rid of it. I'm telling you, sometimes you can get in these weather patterns and they get stagnant and it sticks around. Okay, across the northern plains into the upper Midwest, just some showers here. Nothing severe on the table today. Severe weather, though, possible. There could be a few strong storms further to the south across Missouri, parts of Arkansas. Some of these, especially that are sliding right along this boundary, could have a few hailmakers. There could be some damaging winds. Maybe an isolated tornado. I think it's a low risk, but certainly with that wind shear, and you've got some pretty fast-moving winds aloft. And then heading into tomorrow, that threat shifts a little bit further to the south across Texas. We'll see a few showers and storms here as well. Again, your day 2 outlook across parts of South Texas down into Oklahoma. And day 3, everything shifts a little bit further to the north. All right, temperatures across the plains, warm today. We're talking about 70s, 80s, even 90s across Texas. Pretty toasty, too. South Texas could get into the triple-digit heat, but there's that cool air moving across the plains, the northern plains, into Iowa. Again, where we've got the showers, it's going to be chilly, or at least the clouds, I should say. And then heading into the overnight, into Friday night, I should say early Friday morning, temperatures as far south as Little Rock. I mean, look at this. We may drop into the 40s here. Definitely into the 40s, close to 40s, maybe some 30s. Very close. Into some of the chillier spots into Missouri, further north up into around the Great Lakes into Wisconsin. We'll definitely be in the 30s, and daytime highs not warming up very much. But look at Texas. The heat is on here, and we start to spread that heat a little bit further to the north as we head now into Sunday, or Saturday rather. We've got mid to upper 90s, close to 100 toward Dallas. Big contrast in temperatures. Head north out of Dallas, or even really from Amarillo, or even into parts of western Oklahoma, up into North Kansas, you go from the 90s to the low 50s. So big temperature differences with this type of setup. And across the west, dry here, at least for now. Maybe a few snow showers into parts of, and yes, snow showers, cold enough for that, into parts of Wyoming, northern Colorado, into western parts of Montana. Not a lot. Otherwise, sort of dry. Maybe a few showers once you get over into South Dakota, but other than that, dry across the Southwest, dry across California, Idaho. Our weak system starts to bring some showers into the Pacific Northwest. That looks like it'll move in by Thursday and Friday. Some high mountain snow here possible. You get up into the northern Rockies, especially up into the Canadian Rockies, so better chance of some snow, but otherwise dry across the Southwest with temperatures on the average warming up pretty much every day. For example, take a look at Boise. We may get into the 60s today. Phoenix still hot. Salt Lake City, upper 60s possible. And then as we head into, I'm going to move this ahead in time, the trend as we move into the weekend, by Saturday, places like Boise well into the 70s. And then by right around here, look at this, by next Tuesday, we could be in the 90s for Boise, upper 80s, at least mid 80s. And man, I'm telling you, by next Wednesday, we could be baking here in the Pacific Northwest, maybe some 90s into the interior sections of this part of the country. And here's a wide look at the overall precipitation outlook over the next couple of days. We've talked a lot about that cold air and that rain across the east. But again, along this boundary, there will be some showers, and some of this rain could start to get heavy heading into the weekend. Right here, from Arkansas east into Kentucky, wherever this boundary sets up, especially this difference between this really warm air to the south and this colder air to the north, you're going to see your showers move right along that, and that could cause some problems with rain, especially because of the fact that we've just seen heavy thunderstorms across this area. All right, that's all I got for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. If you're just catching it, you can always back it up, take it from the beginning. If you're new to the channel, I'm Travis. Welcome. I hope you'll consider subscribing if you're looking for a weather source here on YouTube. See you next time.